All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Online Business Launchpad podcast. If you've been listening to my podcast for very long, you might have realized that I love listening to other people's podcasts because it's a really great way to learn new things and to get great insights into how other people are successfully growing their business. And today, I'm delighted to have David Perez with me. He's the founder of Audience Coach, and he helps coaches create and grow their audience. And David and I were first introduced on the Audrey.io platform, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but if you haven't heard of it, it helps podcasters find and get in touch with other podcasters who have similar interests. And I'm all about helping people grow their audience because that helps with growing your business. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you, David, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Judy. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, no, it's really, really exciting to talk to somebody else who really, really enjoys this sort of thing. So, can you just tell our listeners, just tell them a little bit more about who you serve and why?
Okay, I'm a podcast producer originally, but I am transitioning into supporting coaches and mentors, which is my main target audience for the moment, to grow audiences for their businesses. Because I noticed when I was in the podcast production part, just a lot of coaches and a lot of small business owners, they want to start podcasts for their businesses, but they don't have a clear purpose like on why they want to start a podcast. And more importantly, they don't know, or they don't clearly know who they want to create a podcast for, and that's the core of it, the audience. So I saw those gaps, and I started building a show on my own, and with my team, so we could address those needs people, small business owners and coaches have in terms of how to build audiences. Like the podcast should serve a purpose, and it's mainly to help them serve that purpose and achieve the goal they want to achieve with the show.
Yeah, no, for sure. That really resonates with me because we also have a YouTube channel, and it's for the same people who listen to the podcast, but it's more a little bit more practical, hands on. And it just getting that absolute crystal clarity about who it's for is really critical for success in any channel, I think, that you're using. So that's really, really interesting. So maybe just tell us a little bit more about how you actually got started on your whole, just from the very beginning. How did you get started on your business journey? Where are you from? What's your background, and how did you get started into this world of
Okay.
entrepreneurship?
Okay, my background actually comes from a very different origin. My background is in education. I have a degree in education. I was a teacher for about 8 years. I worked in a lot of different places. I worked in elementary school, in high school, institutes, and I got to be a teacher at a university as well, university level. But then, well, we the path I gone through, I think is very similar to the same path of many other entrepreneurs. Is you're an employee to begin with, but then you get tired of those like short-term contracts, 4-month contracts. Even at university, like you get like very short-term contracts, 4-month contracts. So I said, this is enough. This is enough for me. But I had this background because as a teacher, I also had a background as an online teacher. And I got many of the tools from online teaching, and I started to implement them in other areas. And from that, part of what I used to do as a teacher was podcasting as well for my students. And from that, I started to develop a podcast production business. At the beginning, was like very, very small, and most of the clients arrived through referrals mainly. And it was mainly the technical side. What I used to do was mainly the technical side, but from doing that, I found out like other needs and other gaps that were in the business, in the market, particularly how to achieve a goal through the podcast. And that's how I got to start my own podcast show. I built a team around it, and here we are.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting because you sort of, as we've sort of seen this year unfold, you
Yep.
know, so many people have been, and I don't know whether you did it, but it sounds like you did it because you made the change because of, you were able to understand that there were gaps and you were willing to fill those gaps. But so many people have been forced to change
Yep.
because of COVID-19 and what's happening with the coronavirus. And it's just really, 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 really interesting to hear what other people are doing as they, as you grow your business and as you also fulfill the needs that your customers have. That's one of our with our online business liftoff program. That is one of the things that we think is really really critical, is that you've got to understand what your people need, and then you give
Hmm.
it to them. So that's really really cool. So maybe
Yeah.
just talk a little bit about why having a podcast is so important, and let me explain why I'm asking that question. With our program, we teach people how to start an online business, and once they've got that online business started, we have a community that helps them grow it. But when I talk to people about what they're doing to learn their skills after they finished our program, what kind of new skills are they going to pick up and what do they need, and I ask them if they listen to podcasts. A lot of them haven't, and they don't. They only just getting started listening to podcasts. And so when you start to talk to them about, well, maybe having a podcast is a way for you to reach out to your audience, they kind of look at you and go, oh my, I don't know if I could do that. So maybe just explain a little bit why having a podcast is so important to growing a business.
Okay. Oh my God, there are so many reasons. Like the question will be, why shouldn't you have a podcast? There are so many reasons to having a podcast and so many benefits to it, especially as a small business owner. Okay, let's begin with helping you build an online presence and a reputation. Because like if you're a local business, you don't have an online presence. Like people in the city might know you, people in the local area might know you. But if you want to like take that jump into being an online business, you need to have an online presence. There are many ways you can do it. You can set up a blog, you can set up a YouTube channel, you can set up a podcast. However, there are many advantages to podcasting. One of them is it will help you build a very close rapport with the audience and trust, and from that will derive a reputation. And like you can set up an ad campaign on Facebook and have the ad displayed to thousands of people, but that will be a one-time thing. You wanna be constantly um, presenting yourself in front of your audience and building that rapport so they eventually get that trust from you, and that help you build a reputation. It's going to be a lot easier afterwards because the your audience can eventually become, or you can get qualified leads. It's going to be a lot easier to sell to those people who already know you and who already trust you and who already see you as an expert, than just trying to sell to people who don't know who you are, who've never heard of you. That on one side, and on the other side is going to also help you build a community. Like you're not going to just have the possibility of generating a lead, but you're going to have a constant source of qualified leads. Okay, not just leads, but qualified leads who are going to be informed about what you're doing, who are going to be informed about the products and services. So it's going to be easier and faster for them to make purchase processes or decision making processes. And they're going to be always there because you're going to be connecting with them. It's not just a one-time thing as in an ad, but you're going to be constantly connecting with them.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So I'm just going to ask you a curiosity question, because obviously you have a podcast, I have a podcast. So what's your favorite reason for having your podcast?
My favorite reason is building a community. That's my main reason right now. Like I'm not concerned about sales. I'm not concerned about increasing my income. Eventually, it will come as part of the whole process. But right now, I want to help people because I see there is a gap and there is a need for that information. Some people don't even know they need that, and I want to help people so they can succeed in their businesses through podcasting.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same. I like the idea of being able to help people, and just take that little step forward in their journey, in their business journey, and fill that little gap. And you can keep on doing that incrementally, every podcast episode by every podcast episode. And one of the things that I really like about podcasting is that you're not limited to just the people in one place. You can actually reach out globally and have listeners from all over the world who are getting value from what you have to say. And so it's really exciting to look at the stats and so to see where people are coming from, and realize that it's making a difference to their lives and their businesses, which is really really cool, which I really like.
Yeah, indeed. I personally have clients from all over the world. I have clients in Australia. I have clients in the UK, in Ireland, in North America, in parts of Europe, in Canada. Like they are all over the world, and they are all connected. It's very easy to connect with a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, when I was, I talk to people about listening to podcasts and possibly starting podcasts. What would you say is the number one reason why people don't start a podcast, even though they know it's a good idea?
Okay, I think there are two reasons. One of them is because they are afraid of like showing themselves to an audience, like they might feel judged or exposed, and that's a bit scary. It's the same thing as being afraid of public speaking. It's pretty much the same situation. And the other part is that they don't know what they need. They don't know if they need to a website or they need to buy a microphone. They don't need everything that, like, the technicalities of it. They don't know that, and they get overwhelmed because you have to go through a learning process and like research and all that stuff. So that might be like a barrier many times for them.
Yeah, so there's a lot to do. It is a bit of a puzzle, putting all the pieces together, understanding what they are and how they have to fit together. But I think as I've talked to people, one of the big things that jumps out to me about reasons why they don't is that they don't have the courage. They don't have the confidence, as you said. They feel like they might be judged, and it's a scary experience to start with. Your first few podcast episodes are always a little bit, I'm not sure about this, but once you get started, you get over that. But what if what would be some of the things that people can do to get past that mindset or lack of confidence issue?
Well, first of all, is be willing to get out of your comfort zone, because like that fear is also a fear of the unknown, and it's never going to be easy. It's always going to be a challenge to move forward, but there are so many rewards you get from it. There are small exercises you can do. For example, if you have Instagram or if you have a Facebook account and you have a business page, go live. Go live on those sites. Do an Instagram live, do a Facebook live. It's gonna be a 5 minute thing, a 3 minute thing. You don't have to go very deep into a topic, but you will do the exercise of exposing yourself to an audience. If you don't like what you saw at the end, just remove it, delete it. That's gonna be okay, or just keep it. If you keep the file there, if you keep the video, you're gonna be able to see the process. If you keep doing that, after 2 or 3 months, you're gonna compare video 1 to video 20, and you're gonna be able to see how much you have improved. And for a podcast, it's gonna be the same thing. You need to suck at the beginning. Like, it's part of it. Like, I was a teacher, so I know it's the same process of every student. You cannot expect to be an expert if you haven't done the work and you haven't made the mistakes. You need to go through the work, make the mistakes, screw up. It's completely fine. It's part of the process, and it is going to add to your improvement. If you don't do it, you're not going to improve. There is no shortcut. You have to go through it. And if you don't have an audience yet, or if your audience is very small, well, that's the best time. You can just go make mistakes, because if you're going to be exposed, it's going to be to a very small group of people, so it's going to be perfectly fine. It's not like your reputation is going to be here, like in game. No, it's just a very few people who are going to be listening to the show, so that's perfectly fine. Like, be okay with making mistakes. Accept, embrace that. It's part of the process.
So, what would be some of the pre-preparatory things that online entrepreneurs could do, coaches, small businesses, um, to take really small steps forward and start to build momentum? And I'm not saying it this way because I think it matters, and to increase the chances that they'll take the leap and actually start a podcast. So if you kind of
Mhm.
know, in the back of your mind, oh, I kind of would like to do a podcast, but I'm just not ready yet. I'm not comfortable, or I know I should be doing one, but what would be some things people could do to just start to adjust themselves to get ready to the place where they're ready to do it?
Okay, the first thing you can do is to see how you can make your life easier with a show. As a business owner, you're gonna have that clients frequently have the same questions, the same problems, the same misconceptions, the same information gaps about your business. So you have to be answering the same questions over and over again, like providing the same information over and over again. So you can capitalize on that to do two things. One of them is to identify who are the people asking these kind of questions. You need to create a profile not very specific to begin with, but you have to get more specific along the way. But to begin with, create a general profile of who are the kind of people who are having these issues, right? So not just like the demographics, like name and age and that, but also you want to understand them. Okay, why are they looking for your service? What are they trying to achieve? What challenges are they facing? So that's one, identify your audience. And the other side of it is, sorry, just lost my train of thought for a second. uh Identify your audience and create a list of common problems and issues. Like if you need to think about like, okay, what am I going to actually talk about in a podcast show? Super easy. Just write down the list of most common questions, issues, mistakes, problems, and misconceptions your potential clients or clients have. And there you are going to have, at least to begin with, 20 podcast episodes to go. So like you already have the information, you have the background knowledge, you know the audience, you know the people, you know the situations, you have the background on your own industry and your own business to give all that value. So anytime somebody shows up and they're asking like these same questions, maybe you're having an email interaction or I don't know, phone texting interaction, you can send actually these resources that you created to them as part of your process to onboard new clients.
Yeah, that so basically you're saying make sure you really understand who your customers are, what they're asking about, and the problems that they're facing. Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. You should aim to solving other people's problems. How you can solve them through your knowledge, and that will make it easier for them to identify you as an expert, as an authority. Like they will earn your respect, and it also would make it easier for them eventually to make purchase decisions.